you for joining today's session. So, in our yesterday's session, we have talked about, in yesterday's session, we had looked into the concept related to the 3504 initial configuration, and we have understood what is a port, physical ports, and what are the static and dynamic interfaces. So, this we have understood in our yesterday's session, and then we have simultaneously did the installation of 9800. So I would be continuing from here. We had done the installation on the ESXi, and then it went for a boot, and then it started its installation. It went with the pre-installation script database installation, and then the post-installation script, and now it is ready to use. So there is nothing fancy about it. It is just you log into the ESXi and you walk through the steps that is present. So if you see here, so this is the data sheet that I have got for the Catalyst 9800 CL. So I have shown you like how to download it, how to download the image in yesterday's session. But here we need to have .iso or the .ova file. And what that is, I have explained you in yesterday's session. So that is required for adding it into the ESXi, our ESXi server. And we can do it through two ways, as I have explained yesterday. Either you can manually choose all the settings, or else you can use a OVA file. OVA is nothing but it describes the hardware parameters, hardware specifications. So instead of you choosing the specification like the RAM and HDD and all, so uh, you can just select the OVA template. Either you can select small, medium, or large, and depending on the amount of access points you need to have and the clients that it can support. So accordingly, it will take the RAM, storage, and CPUs and all automatically. It will select depending on the template. So this one I have already explained to you like multiple times. We have a hardware and then there is a hypervisor. On top of that, we can install multiple 9800. All depends how many I can install. It all depends on the hardware. Suppose if you take a UCS 220 or a 240 high density, in that also you get like a high density server, medium density server. So in that, like 8 to 10 applications you can install in a UCS 240. I think more than that, 12, 13. It all depends on your requirement. But as you can see in our Dell server, it is also a high-end Dell server, and it has got many VMs on it, right? Since it is not for the production one, so we have deployed many VMs on that. But if you look at the specification guides and all for the UCS, particularly the UCS servers, if it is a medium density server, you can have up to 8 to 10 applications installed on the ESXi. If it is little bit higher spec server, then maybe 12 to 13 applications is what you can install on the hardware. And the virtualization, you can normally it will be the VMware ESXi, or else you can use the Microsoft Hyper-V as well. That also is supported. And also you can install these images in the AWS. So you will get this image as a AMI image, and you can install it on the AWS, even on the Azure, GCP. So here you can install it. Okay, the way how to install it and all, I have explained it multiple times. I'm not going to that again. So this is like for installation on the cloud side and all. So now our ESX 9800 is ready. So before going to that, I just want you to align with the class flow that what is happening. So we have understood the 3504. Okay, initial configurations we have understood. We have understood the installation of 3504. Then we have understood the basic configuration that is required to make the WLAN up and to connect the client. So that much infrastructure, that much configuration, what is required. So that much we have covered for the 3504. And in the 9800, we have completed the installation part. So now we need to do the initial configurations that whatever is required. So that we need to do. Let's try to bring this 9800. So a quick recap what we did to install it. So let me walk you through the steps what I did yesterday so that you can refresh your memory. Taking some time to log in. Yeah. So this is the ESXi host. That is, if you want to see the version of it, it is on. It says 8.0. So it is on ESXi 8.0. Yeah, it is on 8.0. Okay, it's a very latest one. Then you can see the CPU, memory utilization, storage utilization of this particular server. It's a very high-end server. Okay. And it's a Dell server. If you want to access the Dell server, right, so you need to have a ID rack. So that is the software. This is the ESXi, right? It has got one IP. But for managing the server, it will be a ID rack. Similar to UCS, we got CIMC. For managing the Dell server, we got ID rack. So virtual machines, you can install multiple virtual machine because we got the virtualization, ESXi virtualization. So this is the one that we installed in our yesterday's session, Lab 1 9800. So this is the one that we have installed it. So now let's log in. So it is not a Air EOS software. It is iOS, which you are familiar with. So I will just click on enable. So what happened yesterday is we just installed it through the OVA, if you remember, and it went for a spin. Then it went through the installation scripts. Then it has got installed, and this is the console that what I am getting right now. So it is in the privilege mode. I just hit enable. It went to the sorry, it was in user exit mode. Now I am in privilege mode. So let's see what all things I can do here. Okay. So show IP interface PRI. It got VLAN of 151.7. From VLAN 1, it has got this IP, but we can change that. So the initial configurations that what I need to do for the ESXi to bring up is, so you need to make sure that it is properly, the adapter, network adapter is properly mapped. So gig 1, gig 2, gig 3. So anybody can tell from where it is coming, gig 1, gig 2, gig 3. Any idea? So it is coming from the network adapter. So how many network adapters you specify here? So those many gigs you can see. Okay. So if you remember, we had got a dedicated ports for the 3504. So here we don't have a dedicated port. I think few classes back, somebody asked how HA will be achieved here if it is in the ESXi, right? So now we can assign gig 1, gig 2, gig 3 for a particular function. Like for HA, we can dedicate it, or for management traffic, we can dedicate gig 1. So it all depends on the configurations that you do. It is not hard coded that you this gig 1 will be used for only management or only HA. So you can keep changing. Okay. And how does exactly it works? Because I am not because in the 3504 in the appliance model or 9800 L, which is a replacement for 3504, right? So both you are taking a crossover cable and connecting between the boxes, but this is not the case. Here it is a VM. So how it will work is you need to have the network connectivity internally. That's it. Okay. So that is all internal mechanism. I will just show you for your understanding. So if you go to the networking here, so one virtual switch will be created. Okay, virtual switches. So you can see which virtual switch 0, what management is there. When I click on this management, okay, here is a picture. So this management virtual switch has got these ports on this side and one port on this side. So these are the physical ports. Okay, these are the physical ports on the server. So physical port like 1, 2, 3, how much you want, you can define it. Even you can add the physical ports, but here only one physical port of the server is there. So this physical port, so there are logical ports. Okay, VM-NIC is the physical port, whereas the normal ports are the logical ports here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 ports, logical ports connecting to a physical port here. Okay, all right. So those ports you can put into the port group, and that port group you can put it to the virtual switch. So that is the concept. If you go to the edit settings here, so you can see one uplink is configured here, and then you better don't touch all these things like the NIC teaming or the security, traffic shaping, and all, because keep it default. It needs the VMware expertise to work on this. But on a high level, if you want to understand, you will have a virtual switch, then there will be a port group, then will be the ports, and then you have got the physical ports. Physical ports will be mapped to the ports, and these ports are put to a port group, and port group is put to a virtual switch. Okay, the communication between the VMs. So you can segregate it like this. Okay, in the same switch, you got different port group. This is different port group. Okay, and go to the networking here. So physical NICs. So these many ports, physical port I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then you got the port groups. In this port group, you can add a port group, and then you can add the ports to it. Okay, just like this one. Then you got a virtual switch. This is the mapping that you get. So if I click on the add port group, so you can specify the VLAN ID. So this is the same VLAN ID that will be configured on the physical network side. Okay, unless you are configuring some native VLAN or without tagging you are sending. So that is a different case. Then you can select the virtual switch, and then you can just add it here. And once you add that, click on this. Here you can see the ports for those particular all VMs. Each port will be there. So how that ports will be defined is nothing but the Ethernet ports that you have defined in this host here. Okay, I hope that is clear to you. So I just wanted to show the gig 1, gig 2, and gig 3, how that is reflecting in the machine, okay, on the VM. Okay. So now what I will do is I will try to bring it to the network. So I need to ping 150.1.7.1. So that's my gateway. So it's reachable to one is also reachable. So 151.7.138, but it is in VLAN 1. I need to make it to VLAN 150, and I need to enable the PuTTY as well. So I will do that configuration, config T. Then line VTY024 login local login synchronous. These are the basic PuTTY commands. Okay. I just entered the PuTTY commands. Then I'm giving the username and password. Username. So what is this I have opened? So this is the console. Okay. Console of the VM. So normally in the lab we give admin and password is sanfran at 1234 enter. Okay. So once this is completed, let me assign the IP address. The way the networking is set up in this lab is, so I need to configure the VLAN, that is interface, VLAN 150, name I will say wireless, name wireless, and then interface VLAN 150. Okay, before do that, interface VLAN 1, no IP address. Okay, I will take the IP address from IP address from the VLAN 1, and I will assign it to VLAN 150. So now let me go to VLAN 150 and I assign the IP addresses. IP address 150.1.7. I will give some IP address like I will give it as 131. So yeah, I will give it as 131 now. 131 is already taken. So I will give it as 135. 255.255.255.0. So I have configured the line VTY, then the username and password. Then I have created a VLAN 150, assigned a 150 range IP address. Then what I am doing is I am assigning this particular VLAN to the interface gig 1. So gig 1 is the one that I am going to make it as a management interface and also the AP manager. So how I can do that? So I will go to the interface gig 1 and I will say switch port mode access and switch port access VLAN 150. Okay, so this port is basically connecting from the server side towards the switch side. Okay. Uh, okay, so now let's check out show IP interface PRM. So now I can see 150 is assigned with a 150 IP address. And then let me ping the gateway 150.1.7.2. Yeah, it's reachable. So now I will try to putty it. No, out of band management, no. So it is for the in-band management, gig one. So we are just normally configuring the gig one. So that option is not available here, like the out of band management for the ESX side. What we get normally for the 3504, so that is not available here. 150.1.7.135 is the IP address. So I'm trying to bring the VM to the network. Okay. So admin and people. Oh, I think we have not set the enable password. So let's create that 150. Um, enable password and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, okay, it is done. So if we're accessing it through SSH, so it will be more convenient. So that's why the console is not that good. Okay, so now we are into this machine and this virtual machine is on the network, on our network side. So now let me increase the font size. So this is the bare minimum configuration that I did for bringing the device into the network. So if you have your own lab setup, so it will differ in your production, it will differ. So though these are the bare minimum settings for the networking, so to bring the device up. So in our environment, so I have shared one picture as well, right, of the lab. So you can refer that. So this is the 9800 we got and we bought it into the network and we have given the IP as 150.1.7.135. And this particular IP is assigned to this VM now. And this VM gig 1 is connecting to a switch port. Okay, switch port. And that switch port, and that is having a VLAN. Okay, VLAN 150. Either you can make it as a untagging and all, but 9800 normally we don't do that. So whatever the traffic that is going is with 150 VLAN. Here also 150 is configured. Okay, so that is how it works. Suppose if you want to configure multiple VLANs, then you need to make it as a trunk. Since I am using only one VLAN for now, so I just made it as a access port here. Okay. So basically we worked on this particular port here. Okay, gig 1. On the switch port, already the setup is present, like whatever the configuration is there. So that is already present in the switch port. If you want to check out the switch port configuration, I can just show that to you for your reference. Uh, What's an 800 WLC1 lab? So do you see that? Mm, on this port, I think it is not directly connected, I guess. Or let me try to ping it from here. Ping 150.1.7.55. It's reachable, but this is the same one, okay? 48 and 47. So let's see what is configured in 48. Show run interface 1/0/47. So here we have given, we have made it as a trunk port. So this port is basically this one over here. Okay, this is the port that I'm talking about. This is our switch. Okay, so in this switch, what configuration I have given? I have given the trunk configuration and allowed VLAN. I have given like 100, 150, and 192. So I can create multiple VLANs um, on the virtual machine side. That is our 9800 Catalyst 9800. I can create multiple VLANs and just allow it here. Okay, that is the bare minimum networking configuration that I need to do. So now let's shift our focus to the wireless related configuration. Okay, in this wireless related configuration, to open the GUI, so the GUI will not be available now. So how does it look? So if I go here 150.1.7.135 and try to log in, so this goes through the initial setup wizard. Okay, um, do not have sufficient privilege. Please log in with privilege 15. Okay, let's give the privilege 15 to myself. 150 username. Privilege. Privilege 15. Let's go back. So we bought the WLC to the network. Um, should have the privilege. Why does it say for privilege? No, why we need to give the privilege to switch? Oh, I am giving privilege to the switch. Sorry, my bad. So once you log in, it will walk you through the initial setup wizard, okay, where you need to give the deployment mode, whether it is a standalone or active or a standby, like a HA thing, which we'll see tomorrow, and host name, country, and NTP servers, AAA servers. You can define a few are mandatory where you see this star. So those are mandatory ones. You can assign the wireless management VLAN and what is the wireless management interface you can select. See, you can select 1, 2, 3. You can select it from here, and then you can hit on next. For example, I will just give it as 150 and it is gig one. I will say WLC WLC one. Okay, WLC lab one standalone. So all these things US. And then I can, if you want, you can set up the static route. So next, okay, here management IP we need to give. So if I give that, so it will cut off. So I will not proceed with this. So once you do that, it will next it will ask for the certificate things and all. But instead of going to this, I will give you a shortcut, because normally installing that certificate, creating the trust point and all. So we have a easy way of doing it. So what you can do is you can come to this CLI, and you first define the management interface. Okay, management interface, show IP interface, BRI. So this is my VLAN 150, and VLAN 150, it will go through this gig one. Okay. In this gig one, I want to make this gig one as a management interface. So I have got a command that is called, that is like wireless redundancy, sorry, a wireless management interface VLAN 150. So this VLAN 150, I will make it as a management interface. As a VLAN 150, I will make. Then one more important command that you need to execute is ap dot 11 24 gigahertz shutdown. You need to shut down the radio. You know what is radio, right? So radio is like 2.4 gigahertz radio will be there, and 5 gigahertz radio will be there. Okay. So the 2.4 gigahertz radio, I will just shut down. And then I'm going to shut down the 5 gigahertz as well. Yes. And then you need to give AP country US. Okay. Yes. So these four things I gave: wireless management interface, then AP.11, AP. I have shut down the 2.4 gigahertz radio, and 5 gigahertz radio I have shut down. Then I have defined the country as US. So these four commands I have given till now. So next I need to define the trust point. Okay, trust point is basically the for defining the certificates and all, the self-signed certificates. So for that one, so I will give the command as wireless config, then VWLC SSC, then key size, I will say 2048, and then signature algorithm is SHA-256, and then password, say password. Then zeros unencrypted you want, or AES encrypted, I will say unencrypted, and password will be send. Enter. So now it is going to create the trust point and all. So let me quickly share these commands to you on the WhatsApp chat, or else I will just put this in the notion.so. Okay. So now you can see, so it has created, the script is complete. Show trust sec trust point, show security trust point. So crypto PKI trust point. So this is what we created. Okay. So it is a self-signed certificate. So I hope you know what is a certificate, self-signed certificate and a CA signed certificate. So we'll deal that with later. So this is like the root CA certificate and all, and WLCTP. So here you can see the certificate configured. This is the URL for that. So basically what that command does is you are trying to generate the self-signed certificate with that particular command. So then only this GUI will work, or else it will go through this setup wizard. Okay, if you want to bypass this setup wizard and directly log into the GUI, so you need to do this bare minimum configuration. Okay, and then I will go here and remove this. And in lab, I will request you to go through that wizard when you're doing, and also you can go through this process. But this process is very easy. Okay, you have to put 5 commands. So then you will be logged in to the GUI. See, if you don't enter this, then you have to go through the wizard. Then you need to specify the certificates, trust points, and all. So that will be very messy, and you might trip on that. Okay. So it is better you just give these 5 commands and you will be logged into the CLI, no, sorry, GUI. So once you log in, so this is the dashboard, how it looks. This is the 3504 dashboard, how it was looking, and this is a 9800 dashboard. So this is very intuitive compared to the 3504. Here you can see the wireless setup, basic advanced. It is like a setup wizard for setting up the WLAN and creating the different configurations and getting the WLAN up. So you can use this. Then you got events. So PKI function cannot be initialized until an authoritative time source is not mentioned. Okay. NTP we have not defined. Uh, then this is the option to save. It has got one feature like show difference. Suppose if you do any config, right? So it is the existing configuration. This is the configuration that is a running configuration. If you do any changes to the existing configuration, it will highlight in some color. For example, I will go to the configuration and maybe I will just create a VLAN and I'll say VLAN number is 10. VLAN 10. 4. Okay, I did some configuration here and then I go to this save option and do the show difference. So here you can see that difference, what was done the last time when you saved it. So what was the difference compared to the original startup configuration? So that's what that option is. Then you got the settings option. So this is for like the preference for the GUI UI that you got here, like default number of table entries, and then guided assistance is there. So guided assistance is it will keep on popping up one widget where you can go over the configuration of each and everything, right? So it will give a walkthrough kind of thing. Okay, if you don't want to you don't want that, you just disable this because it will sometimes it will be annoying. Okay, then save it. You can even go for the dark mode, but normally I don't prefer the dark modes, so just save. Then you got this language preference, and here um, uh, this is the field where you can go through the different configurations. Okay, so what is what if you want to say about the RRM, so everything about the settings it will be mentioned. It's a quick guide in case if you don't understand anything, so you can just refer here for the description. Then here is a refresh option, just like in this one also you got a refresh option here. So 9800 also got a refresh option here. Okay, and if any APs or clients you want to search, you can search it from this tab. We got a simple tabs here, dashboard, monitoring, configuration, administration, licensing, and troubleshooting. So click on the dashboard here. In this dashboard, you can set these tables over here. You can customize this. You can click on this customized dashboard, and you can just move from here to there, and you can create or you can disable them from this view. So you can disable as well. Okay, so here you can see the system information and from when the last configuration change was done and what is the system uptime. So all those things you can see from the system information page, and you get the CPU and memory utilization, and then you got the information about the access points that are registered for 5 gigahertz band and 2.4 gigahertz band. Okay, and here you can see if any the wireless LAN is configured, you can see here. If that wireless LAN is enabled or not, it will be in green. If it is not enabled, then it will be down. So 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz radios are down. So basically, when the radio is down, obviously it will not broadcast the SSIDs in the air, right? So you need to enable this. You need to remember. So for logging into this GUI, we have disabled it, but we need to remember to enable it when we want to see the client. Okay, so that's what. And now go to the next tab here, monitoring. So here you can see the DHCP clients, ports, and port status. You can see here, gig 1, gig 2, and you can see the status of it and what VLAN and all it is assigned. Then similarly, you got the, and if any DHCP clients, if you define, or the AAA configuration, the AP statistics, AP, the APs if they're registered, so you can come and see here. Then you got the configuration. Here is where all the admin work is done. So here you got multiple tabs like the interface, services, radio configuration for RRM, routing protocols, and security AAA. All these things are defined. So there is something called as tags and profiles, which we'll go through it now. Like what exactly these tags and profiles is, we'll go through that. So here again, you can see the wireless setup, which we saw in this place over here. Okay, so wireless setup is like basic, advanced, and WLAN. So if you remember in the 3504, we created the WLAN, assigned it to a virtual interface, a logical interface, and that logical interface is assigned with a VLAN and a port, right? In yesterday's session, if you remember. So similarly, here that configuration is not there in the 9800. So here we got something called as tags and profiles. Okay, tags and profiles. So that we will discuss later. Administration, you can reload the device from here. You can set up the SNMP configuration for the SNMP traps, and then logging you can enable DNS, DHCP pools you can define here, and then time you can define like the NTP servers you can add. So having a good NTP between the WLC and AP is a must, or else it will create problems. Okay. Then you can define the users, local users you can add from here. And licensing, we already have dealt with the licensing in our previous sessions. So if you go to this licensing, you can see this will be in the evaluation mode. Okay. So either you can point it to change wireless levels. If you remember, like we got air network advantage and air network essentials. So this one we have discussed in the licensing part. So troubleshooting, this is the important part where you can collect the logs, you can do the ping, then radioactive trace you can have the Wireshark packet captures here. You can enable it. Okay, you can define the which interface it needs to monitor. Okay, and then you can define the name, filter, and if it has to be the IP address that you need to monitor specifically, you can define and you can set the capture. But before going to the packet capture, you need to check the logs first, like the system logs and other logs you need to check out. Okay, then you can go for the collecting the PCAPs. Okay, you can do the ping from here. Okay, for example, destination, this ping source can be anything. So it's not working. So let me ping the gateway. So even you can do the trace route. So small utility, which is helpful in troubleshooting. Then you got the debugs. Okay, you can create the debugs here depending on the client MAC address you can put. Okay, um, sorry, stop it from here, and you can put the MAC address for which you need the debugs, and it will, and you need to start it. Okay, then it will start creating the logs for that particular client. The core dump, you might know, like if the system crashes and all, right, so the core dump will be generated, so that you need to provide it to the Cisco tag and they will provide some analysis. If you can read it in the no you can put it in the notepad plus plus and then you can read by yourself. That also will work. Okay, if the system reports generated, so that will be here. So this is the overview of the GUI. So now we would be looking at one of the configuration for the tags and profiles. But this is the initial, yeah. So we would be looking at the tags and profiles and then configuring it as well. Okay. So then we will go with the next topic. Why we are not defining all this from the GUI? Is it simple from GUI wizard? No, it is not that simple. Like the first tab was simple, but when you hit next, there you need to select the trust point and give some details where the 9800 GUI will not come up sometimes if you mess with the settings. Okay. So if possible, I will spin a new instance. Okay. And then we can go through that GUI wizard as well. I will show you how to configure that as well. Okay. Now let's shift our focus to one of the initial configurations to bring the WLAN up. Okay, the same thing what we did with the 3504 we'll do, but here we got something called as tags and profiles. Okay, so let's see some theory about this. Then we'll come back here and then configure the tags and profiles. Just allow me a minute. I will grab some water and come. Sorry about that. I'm back. So now we have seen the configuration, we have seen the GUI tabs that we have got in the 9800. If you have followed the class, in previous class also, like you have got the hang of 3504, how it looks and what are the different options in the GUI. So the main component of the 9800 is the wireless and tags, sorry, profiles and tags. So what is this profiles and tags? If you take 3504, the configuration is pretty static there compared to 9800. If you take the WLAN, okay, you need to add different settings to the WLAN and then assign this WLAN to the VLAN, and then this WLAN is assigned to a AP. Okay, this is how it is done in the 3504. I think I have not assigned the WLAN to the AP in the 3504, but I will show that in a moment. But the configuration that we do in the 3504 is pretty static compared to 9800. In what sense? If we are configuring, suppose say RRM, radio resource management. So this is related to the RF characteristics, and we have learned the RF characteristics in detail. And when you assign these RF characteristics to the access point, right? The ultimate goal is the access point, assigning all the configuration to the access point. So, for example, I'm taking one example where the RF characteristics, particular RF characteristics, for example, the TPC, transmission power control, the dynamic channel assignment, which channels has to be a part of the dynamic channel assignment, on which channels has to be broadcasted through these APs, that you need to define. That is the RRM setting. So that RRM setting is available in the WLAN configuration. And similarly, other configurations are available in the WLAN only. Suppose if you have multiple sites, site A, site B, site C you are having, and you want to have different RRM settings for each of the site, but other settings this is the first setting, second setting, third setting, fourth setting. So only one setting you want to change for the B site. Then what happens is you need to create again one more WLAN, and the entire configuration you need to create again if you want to change one of the setting. Okay, one of the setting. So, but in the 9800, the benefit is all the configurations are broken down into profiles here. And that profiles, you can add it into the tags. Okay. And then because of this profiles and tags, there is maximum flexibility in the configuration and it is very easy to manage. So that is the use of the profiles and tags. In the 3504, the configuration is pretty static. You just have all the configurations in one place. If you assign it to a one site, then if you want to assign it to the another site with a small tweak in the configuration, then again you need to build the complete configuration for the site B. To eliminate this kind of configurations, they came up with a more flexibility option, that is profiles and tags. So how different it is, we will see we'll see in some time. So 9800 use modular and flexible approach to configuration through use of profiles and tags. This allows for more granular control and easier management. This is the thing. Okay, granular management, granular control and easier management. Profiles in the Catalyst WLCs are templates. Okay, these are templates that define specific configurations for different aspects of the wireless network. And these templates can be, in different permutation and combination can be assigned to the APs. So in a single site, you have multiple APs for one use case. You have multiple APs for a single site, and these APs should have different characteristics, RRM characteristics, or any other configuration for that matter. There should be different configurations are there. So you can achieve this through the profiles and tags. So we got something called as WLAN profile, policy profile, AP join profile, flex profile, RF profile. Okay. So these are all the profiles which has got the configurations. These are the templates, and these profiles we take and we put it into the tag. Okay. So what is the ultimate goal if it is in 3504 or 9800? What is the goal? So all these configurations you need to club together and assign to the WLAN and then assign it to the AP, right? AP. So that is the goal. So how we achieve it in 3504 and 9800 is what the difference is. In 9800, we have profiles and tags. So now let's explore what is profiles. WLAN profiles defines the setting for a specific wireless LAN SSID, includes SSID name, security settings, QoS policies, and advanced settings. So these are all things you get: security settings, QoS policies, and advanced setting. So this will be present in the WLAN profile. Basically, you will define the SSID and whether the security is WPA2 or WPA3, so that you are going to define in the WLAN profile. Then we got the policy profile. So policy profile, we will define the VLAN here. Okay, this is the main thing that we define in the policy profile. In the WLAN profile, we are defining the WLAN, whereas in the policy profile, we are defining the VLAN. So defines policy related to client connectivity and network access, VLAN, AAA configuration, then ACLs. So these are the things that we put into the policy profile. Then we got the AP join profile. As the name itself says, it is the configuration that is required for the AP to join the WLC. It contains the settings that manage how APs join the controller, includes authentication. So where we define the authentication, AP join. high availability configuration, and join rates. So these all things are in this particular profile, that is AP join profile. Then we got the Flex profile. Flex profile is for the Flex Connect deployment. If you remember in the previous sessions, I told you either the lightweight access point can route the data traffic, or else the WLC itself can route the data traffic. Okay. If you use the Flex profile, the AP is capable enough to route the traffic to the wired network. So that's a Flex profile. So whatever the configuration required for routing the data traffic through the AP, so that comes under the Flex profile. So Flex Connect deployment, where APs handle some functions locally even when disconnected from the controller, includes settings for the VLAN mapping, local switching, and local authentication. So if the WLC loses connection with the AP, but still AP is intelligent enough to switch the data traffic. So for that, we need to have the VLAN mapping, local switching, and local authentication has to be enabled. So that configuration will be present in the Flex profile. Then we got the RF profile. In the RF profile, all the RRM settings will be defined. For example, transmit power control, DCA, coverage hole detection. So all these things will be defined in the RF profile. So now what we did with these profiles is we created a template. And now these templates has to be assigned to something called as tags. Let's see the tags now. So there is a policy tag, site tag, RF tag, and RF profile. So no, sorry, I think this one should not be here. Policy tag, site tag, and RF tag. So these are the three tags. So in the policy tag, what we do is the main thing that we do in the policy tag is we will combine the WLAN to the VLAN. How that is possible? We are going to associate the VLAN profile that we created in the previous step with the policy profile that we created in the previous step. So here we are just adding VLAN, WLAN profile, and the policy profile we are attaching. In the policy profile, what we define VLAN. In the WLAN profile, what we have specified, that is the WLAN. So those two come together in the policy tag. And then we got the site tag. Site tag has the AP join profile. Okay. AP join profile, we will add it into the site tag, and a flex profile also you can add. So flex related configuration and the configuration that is related where the AP joins to the WLC, those configurations will be clubbed, and that will be put it into the site tags. Okay. Here WLAN profile, and then policy profile. Okay. So these two configurations we take and we put it into the policy tag. And now we got the RF tag. So RF tag will have the RRM setting. So this will be for 2.4 gigahertz and also the 5 gigahertz. Separately, we need to define the RRM settings. And those RRM settings, RRM profiles for each of these radios will be put into the RF tag. Okay, RF tag. So now what is happening? So these policy tag, site tag, and RF tag, you will assign it to the AP. You have got a AP. Suppose this is a headquarter AP. And in this AP, I will put policy tag A, site tag A, and RF tag as A. Suppose there is a branch access point. So branch access point, I will assign a policy tag as A, site tag as B, RF tag as A. Okay. In the same branch, I got a branch AP1. I can assign a policy tag as maybe B, and site tag as A, and then again RF tag as A. Okay. So because of this templates, we can, in a same site, we can assign multiple behaviors for the APs we can have. But earlier that was not possible. We were supposed to build the entire configuration. Okay. So we'll see what is the difference when we are configuring both the 3504 and 9800, and we broadcast the SSID and we will register the client. So that is the next activity that we will be doing. Let me quickly go and show the configuration. Before to that, you will get an idea with this picture. So policy tag, WLAN profile, policy profile. Okay, RF tag, RF profile for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. In the site tag, we put AP join profile and flex profile. For your convenience, I will just take this snapshot and put it in the group. So that's about the profiles and the tags. When I do it, when I create it on the WLC, you will be more confident. Okay. So let me navigate. Oh, I see the time is almost up. I will take another 3 minutes. Okay. Um, we can go to configuration, go to the policy profile. Okay, before do that, we need to create a WLAN here. Okay, so add a WLAN. I will give a WLAN. I will say WLAN lab 1 and the same SSID will be broadcasted. WLAN ID is 1, status should be enabled. And for this particular WLAN, I will broadcast both 5 gigahertz signal and 2.4 gigahertz signal. Okay, then apply to device. Simple. Uh, I will go into the specific for the security and all, but if you remember, the WLAN profile got the security here, and then AAA and all these things you can define. Then once we create the WLAN, then I will go to the policy profile. So we created a WLAN profile. Now we are creating the policy profile. Just add here. Name I will say WLAN lab 1, and this is policy profile. Okay. Same description. I'll just put it here. Status should be enabled. And you can see central switching, local switching, central authentication. This we'll discuss in the Flex Connect. So now the main thing in the policy profile is you are defining the VLAN. So now if I go here, and if you remember, we had created the wireless, right? So I will choose this. This is 150 and apply to device. So just a quick recap, what we did, we created a WLAN and then we created a VLAN in the policy profile. So the next step is I will create AP join profile. So just add it here. And in the AP join profile, you can define the AP related settings. And then here, you can just give the name AP join. Yes. Then here, CapWare parameters, we can define management and then security, QoS policies you can define. So these are all the settings that is required for the AP to join the WLC. Okay. So that is what. So then I'll just apply to device. I've created a AP join profile. Then we can create a flex profile, but flex profile we will deal later. Okay. And then the last one is the RF profile. So RF profile, we need to define for each one. So here we got a default RF profiles, but we can copy this and we can create, or else you can see the radio RF add. I will say 2.4 gigahertz. file. File. So it will be like 2.4 gigahertz. It should be enabled. And here I can define the RF related RRM related configuration like the TPC, the DCA, the band select. So all these things I can define that is related to the RF characteristics. So then I will just apply to device. Okay. So I created all the profiles. Now it's time to create the tags. So I go to the tags and profiles and go to the tags. So we can see policy, site, and RF. So I go to the policy tag, add here, and I will say uh, lab one policy tag. Okay. So now just concentrate here. We need to click on add here, and the WLAN profile that we created, that is WLAN lab one, I will select here. It has got the WLAN that we need to broadcast, and we need to associate the VLAN to this. So that is present in our policy profile that we created, if you remember. So that is how the WLAN to VLAN bridging will happen. Okay. So the same kind of thing, how we can achieve in 3504. After this, I will show you. Okay, apply to device. So now the policy tag is created. Then the site tag. So click on add. Here I will say site AP join profile. If you remember, we created a AP join profile. I will just use that. And if you want to enable the Flex Connect in this site tag, so just click on this and you can choose the Flex Connect profile. But for now, I'll just apply to device. Then we got the RF tag. In the RF tag, you know that we are going to put the uh, particularly for 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, but we have just created for 2.4 gigahertz. So I will just choose that and apply to device. So we have created the profiles, combined those in the policy tag, site tag, and RF tag. The third step is to assign these tags to the APs. So the APs, you can assign it statically. You can assign based on the location. You can filter it and you can assign using the wildcards. So what that wildcard is, we'll just explain in a minute. So go to the tag source or go to static first, click on add. Here you need to add the MAC address and then associate the policy tag and the site tag and the RF tag for that particular access point. You can manually add it. Okay, that is the first option. The second option is you can go to the location. I think there's a I think I need to stop share. Just a minute. It is back. So here, if you see, here if you see, this is location based. Click on add, and here you can click on the AP provisioning, and you can use if you want to add these devices in bulk. So you can select the CSV file, put the AP's MAC address and all, and then you can add that file. And those available APs will reflect here. You can just toggle it by using this button, and then it will be selected for that particular location. So this is location based where you can bulk import the APs access points. Then you got the filter here and click on add. So normally what happens is once the APs they get booted up, so you know how the APs will come and join, right? There is a AP boot up process that we studied. So depending on that, the APs come and register to the WLC. So now you need to segregate and assign it to the tags, right? So what you can do is statically you can add the MAC address, or else bulk you can add the MAC addresses of the access point, and you can assign the site tag, policy tag, and RF tag. Or else you can create, if you want to add the devices that are already registered or going to register, suppose they have a AP name as maybe like it starts with maybe Wilson. Okay, Wilson is a company, and whatever the AP name I'm giving Wilson, like Wilson floor 1. Then it will floor 2, floor 3, floor 5. So like this, I'm going to give. But the common thing here is the name is starting with Wilson. So what I do is I will write one wildcard here. I will enter one wildcard, that is this one. So what it means is any AP that is coming and registering to this WLC, so its name starts with Wilson. And if I give like this, it has to end with Wilson. So it will be exact Wilson if I give like this wildcard. Okay. Or else I will say Wilson followed by anything. So that is star. Star is anything. Up to 32 digits, it can be anything. So these are called as regular expressions. Okay, these are called as what? The regular expressions. Using which you can bulk assign the tags to the APs that are registering to this WLC. Okay, instead of going to each WLC and assigning the tags, you can just use this provision that is provided here, and you can use the regular expression. If you have anything in common within the AP names, then it will assign the tags accordingly. No need to go and do the manual work. Okay, so now I will say role name is test and AP name registration. Suppose if AP name starts with Wilson and followed by anything. So that is what. Or else you can define like after Wilson, it has to be like one. It has to be one or two or three, then bracket close. So what this specifically this means is either it has to start with Wilson, name Wilson, then it can be Wilson 1, Wilson 2, or Wilson 3 in the bracket what we have mentioned. So this is also one kind of wild card I can use. This is the regular expression. You can go through the article for the regular expression for Cisco, and this is not only used in this product of Cisco, but other products also. We got the regular expressions. You might have come across the regular expressions, okay, wild cards. So this bracket and negation, and then the star. Star is nothing but zero. It is like 1 to any digits. You can give question mark. You can give plus. Okay, plus is also a wild card. That is nothing but 0 or 1 times. Okay. So after Wilson 1, there should be something. Okay, that is plus. Either it is a character or something, but at least 1 digit should be present. So that is what plus is. Okay, it should match Wilson 1 plus maybe Wilson 1, 2. So like that, it needs to match 1 digit. So that is what the wildcards is. Okay. So then the policy tag name you can specify here, as you know, and then apply to device. So that's it. So this is how you can add the APs, and then sorry, APs how it will join. We already know. Once the APs are joined, how to add the tags and profiles to it as per our requirement. So that is what this tags and profiles we have discussed till now. And the same thing how we can achieve in the W3504. So all this configuration, suppose if you remember, I go to the WLAN here, I create a WLAN. Okay. And in this WLAN only, I got the security, QoS, policy, mapping, and advanced, all these things. Okay. If you look here, and then this one, I need to assign it to the access point, means I need to go to the wireless. Then I go to all access points. I go here, and in this configuration, so here if you see, so we got this WLAN configuration where you can define the security, QoS policies, and advanced. And we got the wireless and the access point. In the access point, we need to define all these settings. So it is pretty static. Okay. We cannot change it to the different AP. If you want to configure it again, you need to go and you need to configure the settings for that particular AP. So instead of the repetitive job that you do in the 3504, you got profiles and tags where you can you can take few settings and assign it to the particular AP that you want. So it is not like you have to do kind of a static configuration for each and every AP or the WLAN. Okay, that is the main benefit of doing it to the 9800. Okay, so tomorrow I will just showcase in the 3504 we will register a client. Okay, I will create a fresh WLAN, then we'll assign that to the interface, and then interface we will assign in the interface. What are we going to assign? The WLAN, right? Sorry, VLAN will assign, and the port we are going to assign. So then that will broadcast the SSID and we will register a client to that. Okay, so that is the one thing. And the same thing we are going to do with the 9800. Okay, so once that is completed, so we will look into the operating modes. So that's the next concept. And once that is completed, then HA we will look, and then the Flex Connect. Okay, that's the flow that we are going to follow. So I will stop here for today. Let me pause the recording.